This is a video to practice your English listening. And today I want to talk about a big part of English and British culture, which is football. But more specifically, I want to talk about why people in England are so obsessed with football. And I was thinking about this recently because the World Cup has been on. So I've been watching England in the World Cup a lot over the past month and a half. And I was thinking, why do I care so much about how England do? Because I'm not a massive football fan. I like football, I like sports, but it's not one of my main interests. But every time England play in a World Cup or in a European Championship, I get so caught up in it. And I was just thinking, why is that the case? Because every single time we play in the 2022 World Cup, the 2024 Euros, the 2018 World Cup, all of these tournaments that I can remember, especially after England started to do better recently, I've always really cared. And I was just wondering why. Because I don't know these players. I'm not playing. I'm not on the pitch. They're not my friends. They're not my family. So why do I care so much about the result? And it's not just me, because I would watch most of the games in a pub. And when you go to a pub when England are playing, it's absolutely packed. There are people everywhere. And it's quite often hard to get a seat. And you look around the pub and everyone is so into the football. Everybody really cares. And when England score, there's always just an absolute chaos of celebration. And it's like something really important has happened to every single person in that room. And it's part of the reason why I love when England play in a World Cup or play in a Euros, especially when we're winning, because for that moment in the pub with everyone together, it's a really cool moment. And this isn't just England, right? Because you see videos when the World Cup is on of fans across the world in all different countries. So if you're from South America or you're from a team that played in the World Cup, you probably feel the same as me. And especially if you're from Colombia, for example. This is from Medellin, this football shirt. When I went to Medellin and I went to watch a game. But if you're from one of these countries, you probably feel the same. So why is it that we as humans get so excited about our national football team? What is it that makes it so captivating? And what is it that makes us so interested in how the football team of our country is doing? So I looked this up, and the main reason is something that psychologists call social identity. So for that 1 month when England are playing, it's not just this football team that is different to me, because we get part of our identity from the place where we live, so our town or our country. So for the month where England are playing, that is not just a football team. That subconsciously, I feel like it is part of my identity. And it's why we get so passionate, because it's not just a football match on the TV, it's actually a part of you. And that explains why so many people who aren't football fans, people who aren't interested in sports at all, will still go to the pub and have an interest. Obviously, not everyone, but a lot of people will go to the pub or watch it at home or go to the games and have an interest in what's going on, because for that time, the football team is a part of them. And this is why people in England I think it's why football is such a big part of our culture, not just when the national team are playing, not just when England are playing, but when our club teams are playing. So it's why football fans get so passionate about the team that they support. But it's actually it's actually magnified when it's England. It's actually bigger. This sense of social identity is bigger when it's the whole national team, because it's not just you and the rest of the people who support a certain club from a certain town. It's the whole country, right? So for a month, it's a lot of what people talk about. People will ask you, where are you watching the game? Did you see the game? And you know that when you're watching the game, almost everyone around you is going to be wanting the same result. And that massively increases this feeling of wanting the team to do well, because by nature, humans are social creatures. So when everybody around you wants the same thing, it's quite hard not to get caught up in it. It's quite hard not to feel interested and even passionate about what is going on, even if you're not interested in football. Now, in England, the passion isn't the same for other sports. You only really experience this when the England football team plays. So I was wondering, why do people not care as much when it's rugby or cricket or any of our other sports? And the reason is because I think football is the world's game, and it really increases the competitiveness of a World Cup because it's played everywhere. So when England are playing on the world stage, you know you are playing the best from all over the world. Whereas when it's rugby or when it's cricket, there are fewer teams that play the sport. And I think that contributes to why there's something about football that makes everybody really passionate. And I think it's also because England invented football. We were the first to play football. And I think it's a source of national pride. And I think the fact that we invented it also helps everybody to get so caught up and so obsessed with football when we're playing against the rest of the world. Now, the World Cup this year was in the US, and it was interesting from an English perspective to watch the US people get more interested in football. And it's, I think, always cool when you see a country experiencing something for the first time, because I think a lot of the population of the US maybe didn't quite understand. Obviously, most people would know that football is a global game, but I think to have more interest from a group of people who previously weren't interested in the sport is always really cool to watch. And I remember seeing interviews of people from the States, especially when the Scottish fans went to Boston, and you had all of these people in Boston who were a little bit confused as to how the Scottish fans were behaving. And it's always really cool to see people exposed to something new for the first time and beginning to understand why lots of other people can be so crazy about it. And I like US sports. I really like basketball and American football, but I think sometimes I think it's a bit of a shame that people from the States don't get to experience a team who represents them on the global stage against other countries, because obviously when the basketball team plays at the Olympics, they normally win because all the best players are from the US. And they don't really have a sport where they compete at a really high level. Obviously they have their football team or their soccer team. And it was cool to see people from the US get to sort of see their team on the world stage, because I think that is something that is slightly missing from US sports in general. I think another reason that it's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of watching England play football is because football, the way that it's played, it can be, when there is a goal, it is a really big moment. I think in other sports, you don't always have this one moment of explosion where everyone goes absolutely crazy. Like in rugby, there are a lot of tries, but there's more of them, so they don't matter quite as much. In cricket, there are big moments, but it's a longer game, so it's not the same. So I think outside of the cultural reasons that football is so big, I think there are also reasons related to how the game is played that makes everyone so obsessed with it in this country. And then a reason that is especially unique to England and something that fills the English population with lots of pain is that it has been so long since we have won a tournament, a major tournament on a global scale. And it's interesting that I say we, like I am part of the team. So you can see the sense of identity there with the England football team. But like I said, we haven't won a World Cup since 1966, which is quite embarrassing given that we invented the sport. And we have one of the best leagues in the world. Our club football is so good. And we've had, not only have we not won, we've had a lot of very painful moments. So before I was born, there's so many. There was Argentina in the 90s, who we lost to. Portugal in 2006 on penalties. That one really sticks out. And then since I've been watching, we've had more success, but we haven't quite got over the line. We lost the final of the Euros in 2024 and 2021. We've come close in World Cups. I remember we lost to France in 2022, and we lost, obviously, a few weeks ago, or whenever it was, to Argentina. And it's funny because like the disappointment, it really is something like the deflation when that game finished, everyone around us in the pub, it's such a big like come down of emotion because you're super excited, you think this is the year, we're finally going to win it. And then to lose, in particular, the way we lost to Argentina was pretty tough. But my point is, I think people in England, because we've been waiting for so long, and every time we get our hopes up, especially when we have a good team, I think that really adds to it because you think, oh, okay, finally, this year is going to be the year we finally win. And I think every time you don't quite win, it adds an extra layer of interest and intensity and power to what you're watching. So hopefully England will win a World Cup in my lifetime. When people ask like, what do you want to happen in your life? I think one of the things I always think of is to watch England win a World Cup. I think it would be incredible, but we'll see. I probably shouldn't get my hopes up, but I'm sure next time England are playing, as always, I'll be full of hope and ready to get hurt all over again. So thank you for watching. I hope you found that interesting and I hope you could follow what I was saying. I hope that maybe if you didn't quite understand why football is so popular in England and why people are so passionate about it, hopefully that was interesting and you have maybe a slight more of an understanding over why people in England and Britain get so caught up in football at the World Cup. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.